because of this house. Hey guys, it's Tat Londono and I am back on YouTube ready to post some amazing content for you guys. We're gonna be talking about real estate sales, real estate agents. We're gonna be gossiping about finance, business, you name it, I'm here for you guys. We're gonna be posting regularly now. I took a little break because I was focusing on my reels and my TikTok. So let's get right back to the story on how I almost lost $1 million. So let's begin with some context. In order to become a successful real estate agent, you gotta stand out. Like everybody and your mother knows a real estate agent. Your Uber driver's a real estate agent. Your waiter's a real estate agent. Your sister's a real estate agent. Everyone's a real estate agent. So in order to become successful, you need to stand out. So we have something in the business called a USP, which is a unique selling proposition. Essentially, this is something that makes you stand out in the business. Why would someone choose you over another real estate agent? Because you have this unique thing that you offer that no other real estate agent offers. That, my friends, is a USP, unique selling proposition. So in my case, my unique selling proposition was a guaranteed sales program. So if you gave me the mandate to sell your house, I would guarantee the sale of your property no matter what. This was invented by real estate coach Craig Proctor decades ago, but now it's everywhere and a lot of real estate agents are still using it. It is genius. But you know you're Tatiana. I had to add a little twist. So my twist was that if I couldn't sell it in 100 days, I'd buy it myself for cash. So my guaranteed was advertised everywhere, on my billboards, on my signs, on my business cards, on trucks, on the highway, wherever you saw my face, my guarantee was there. It was crazy. Clients were calling me all day long because they knew that it was a win-win situation. You see, if they put the house on the market with me, they knew that if I couldn't sell it, I would have to buy it. So you might all be thinking, Tat, give me a break. There must be some kind of catch. Yes, there is a catch. It's a marketing strategy. Of course there's a catch. You see, the guaranteed sales price was not based on what the seller wanted. It would be based on what the market price was. You see, if I wasn't able to sell a house and I was gonna be buying houses at what the sellers wanted, then I would have a roster of houses in my portfolio, overpriced houses. See, the catch was that the guaranteed sales price would be market value, not what the seller wanted. Let me give you an example of how it worked. When I would go visit the seller who wanted to use the guaranteed sales program, I would show him the market comparables and tell him what I thought the property would sell at that given market time. The seller would then agree with my price or maybe ask a little more because usually sellers want to have room to negotiate, or maybe we get lucky and get more than the price I suggested. Are you still with me? Hope so. Next, so my guaranteed sales price would be a little lower than the market price that I suggested. So we have 3 prices. Number 1, asking price. Number 2, suggested sales price. And number 3, the guaranteed sales price. So if the property didn't sell, I would have to buy the home at the guaranteed sales price. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh, let me guess, the guaranteed sales price is $200,000 less than asking price. Not at all. In some cases, it was only $10,000, $20,000 less, and in some cases, it was only $5,000 less. Remember, it was my expenses that I was minusing from market value. So if you've made it this far and you want to hear even more crazy real estate stories like this, be sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications. By the way, guys, if you want access to the scripts that I keep in that arsenal of mine, then go ahead, just comment scripts and I'll send them to you for free. So as I was saying, this marketing strategy was a huge hit in my business. The phone was ringing off the hook. I was visiting sellers all day long and I was making tons of money. Life was beautiful. Sellers were giving me their homes to sell. I was getting listings left, right, and center, making a ton of money. Life was easy peasy. Until it wasn't. So it was a day like any other day. I got a call from a very nice gentleman. He wanted me to sell his home, but he said, I'm only gonna hire you if you use your guarantee. So at this point in my career, I had used the guarantee over 100 times. I was an expert at it. It was a no-brainer. So I toured the home and then immediately sat down with the client to discuss numbers. The asking price would be 1.1 million. The market price was $1,050,000, so that is my suggested sales price. And the guaranteed sales price, if it were not to sell in 100 days or less, would be $1 million. He was happy, I was happy, and we were both very confident that this house would sell. I had 100 days to sell that property, so it was time to start working. So immediately my marketing systems were in effect. That property was on my website, MLS, my newsletters, signs, you name it, the property was everywhere. And of course, we got tons of visits, but no offers. Everyone seemed super interested until they weren't. I could not understand what was going on. I'm really good when it comes to numbers. What was wrong with the house? So there are many reasons why a home won't sell. Usually it's price, it could be location, or it could just be the house itself. And in this case, it was all three. Now I know what you're thinking. Tat, you're the best. You did your research. What the hell happened? I'll tell you what the hell happened. I really did not double check the research my team had made. They had completely ignored the fact that the street this property was located on was a heavy traffic street. And buyers noticed that when big trucks or buses would pass by the property, the house would actually shake. See, this is something I didn't know because I didn't live there. And while I was sitting there with the seller, none of this had happened. So imagine living in a house where every time it's rush hour, your house shakes, and when you're trying to pull out of your house, you're in bumper to bumper traffic. So that was the house I was selling. You could have all that fun stuff for $1.1 million. I fucked up the price. And now I was gonna have to buy that house. There were 50 days left. Nobody wanted to buy it for the exact same reasons. So obviously I had implemented safety measures into my contract that were agreed upon by the seller. When a price was too high, for example, my 1.1 million, I was able to reduce the price during the length of the contract to get to the guaranteed sales price. So I reduced the price at 50 days. I reduced the price at 60 days. I reduced the price at 75 days. I reduced the price at 80 days. No matter how many times I reduced, nobody was interested in buying the property. I would walk into my office and my team would laugh at me and say, Tat, get ready to buy that house. It wasn't funny. So at this point, I had reduced the price to $1 million. 80 days left, I went straight to the bank to get pre-approved because I knew I was gonna have to buy that house. And let me tell you, the seller was having a grand old time. He was laughing his head off because he knew there were issues with that house and didn't bother to tell me. He was a real smartass. But I'm not gonna blame him. That was my fault. I didn't do the research. That one was on me. So while my seller was celebrating because he had his guaranteed sale no matter what, I was on my way to the bank to get the down payment ready for that $1 million purchase. I was fucking pissed. I was about to put a $200,000 down payment on a house I didn't want. Do you know what I could do with $200,000? A lot. So after finally accepting my fate and coming to terms with the fact that I had to buy this property because a deal is a deal, the phone rang. Yet another buyer wanted to visit the property. This was do or die for me, so I made sure that I showed up to that visit to show that buyer that property. And I was gonna use every single sales skill that I had in my arsenal to make sure that I sold this property to this buyer. I obviously declared the issues with the house, and this was like a godsend. She told me she didn't give a shit because she grew up next to train tracks. So I prayed every night that every single condition would go through. And it did. The inspection went through, her financing went through, and within that month, we had a firm sale. So you wanna hear something really bizarre? The seller was actually really disappointed that I didn't have to buy the property. He was getting a kick out of the fact that I might have to buy it. He was celebrating, he was making fun of me. He couldn't wait for me to buy the property. In fact, when I had the accepted offer, he even said, I don't give a shit, you're gonna have to buy the property, you'll see. He wanted me to buy the property. I don't know what kind of sick obsession that was, but that wasn't gonna be me. In business, your word is your bond. And as much as I wanted to get out of this contract, I knew that I had to stick with it. A wise man once wrote, reputation is everything, guard it with your life. And let me tell you guys, that is not just real estate advice, that's life advice right there. So that's the story of how I almost lost $1 million. And be sure to subscribe for more stories like this.